One of the things that I do on this channel is I give you tips and tools to make your relationships better, especially those that are dysfunctional, difficult, toxic, whatever you want to call them, and give you ways that you can actually manage and navigate the difficulties in a different or better way for you. So, one of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today is one of those. It is about doing something different to change the outcome. Now, relationships are kind of like a dance. They're kind of like a game. You can call them either a game or a dance. When you move and take one step, the other person steps in response. Now, if you keep taking exactly the same steps, the other person can predict your steps, just like a chess game. If you're playing chess and your opponent knows your strategy, it's going to be pretty easy to beat you. But if you change and do a move that's entirely different that your opponent has not seen you do, going to have to stop and think, how am I going to respond to that? It's going to be a different outcome. So it's the same way in our relationships. So let me give you a couple examples. Let's say Jennifer has an elderly mom who she's caring for. The mom has dementia. Jennifer works full time. She manages her household, her children, and her siblings don't do anything to help the mom. So it all falls on Jennifer. Jennifer's used to just doing what she needs to do. She's the responsible child. She's going to take care of mom. She's not going to allow mom to go without. The problem, she is burned out. And as long as she keeps taking care of mom and doing everything that needs to be done, the outcome's going to be the same. It's going to all fall on Jennifer. Does it sound familiar? So Jennifer needs to come up with a new strategy. She needs to do something different. So here are some possibilities that she could do. She could make a list of everything that needs to be done for her mom, and she could let her siblings know, these are the things that I'm going to do. The other things are going to be either be left undone or they're going to have to be paid for by someone else. And it'll come out of mom's money, which means mom's inheritance that the siblings are ultimately going to get. Or she could say, I'm going to do these things and the others are going to be left undone. Ooh, really uncomfortable for her to say left undone, because after all, that's mom. And if those siblings absolutely don't care, then Jennifer's going to have to figure out how to make sure they get done, even if it means paying for them out of mom's money. But what if mom doesn't have money? She can ask her siblings to give money. She can try to see if there's other friends of her mom. There might maybe her mom's friends or friends of the family who care for her mom and would be willing to step up and do something. So you just got to be creative and think about all the different ways that you could approach this and do something different in order to get a different outcome. So I'll give you another example. So let's say that Bob's son has been living at home for 5 years now after getting out of high school, and he doesn't work. He just lays on the sofa all day, plays video games. Sound familiar? I hear this story a lot. And Bob is super frustrated. He is so tired of his son just laying there. So he gets mad at him, tells him to get a job. His son doesn't respond. He ends up yelling at his son. Then he feels guilty, and then he kind of backs off and doesn't say anything for a while. And then it'll build up and he'll start getting mad again. And guess what? He yells at his son and they get in a fight. And then he feels guilty and then he backs off again. But all this irritation is building up, all this resentment, all this discomfort in his own home of having to see his son do nothing day after day and knowing that it's not good for his son. He's got to do something different. He's got to figure out, how can I change the outcome? Well, he can't control the outcome. He cannot make his son get a job. And I'm not kidding. This is a very common question that I get. In my boundaries class, I had a father ask me, how can I make my son get a job? I've actually gotten him 3 jobs and he's managed to get fired for every one. I responded to him just how I would in this situation. To change the outcome, you've got to make a decision. How long are you going to allow your son to live in your house without working? you need to give your son a boundary. You need to say, in 45 days, 30 days, you need to have a job with X number of hours per week, maybe 32, maybe 40, maybe 20. It's up to you. And you need to have that by this day, or I'm going to move your stuff out of the house. Now, warning, you have to follow through. You've got to kick your son out of the house that time. So if you're not ready to do that, you got to come up with something else. And just in case, in some states, you've got to give your own flesh and blood an eviction notice. So to make it real world, you might want to give your son that eviction notice and let him know that this is his formal warning. So what happens? Very often, when it gets close to that deadline, let's say he gave his son 45 days, his son is likely to get a job pretty close to that deadline. Not right now, but close to that deadline. So these are just some examples of how you can do something different to change the outcome. If it's not working, you've got to ask yourself, that saying insanity is doing the same thing over and over and thinking that you're going to get a different response, but you get the same response. You don't want to be insane. You want to be sane. If you normally talk too much in your relationship and that person doesn't respond or doesn't listen, talk less. Make short, direct statements. If you normally do everything for somebody, do less. If you normally get angry and yell, talk softer. Maybe write a note instead, or do something different with your resentment. If you normally stay late after work every day and do work that belongs to your coworker, stop staying late. Only do your work and then leave. Do you see how that works? If you listen to somebody yelling at you, and that's abusive. You shouldn't be listening to somebody yell at you. If there's somebody in your life that yells at you, do something different. Stop and say, I'm not going to stand here while you yell at me. Guess what? In all those examples, the other person, just like in a chess game, has to stop and think, oh, what am I going to do now? Because I didn't predict that this person was going to respond this way. They've got to move differently. They've got to take a new step in that dance that they're used to taking with you. You can't control the other person, but you can change the outcome by doing something different. I wanted to read to you this scripture and just kind of reflect on it for a minute. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." We kind of get into a yoke of slavery by getting stuck in habitual patterns in our relationships. Paul warned the Galatians that they were saved by grace, and they were again putting themselves under bondage through works. We've got to be careful that by our choices, by our behavior, that we're not doing something that is in fact causing us harm and causing us to hurt our relationships in the process. So thank you for watching, and I just suggest that you look at my classes, look at the resources that I have on my website, and I hope to have you come back again. God bless you.